Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Gardens, the Untold Story with host Andy Lopez, the Invisible Gardener, and myself, Ken Somerville. We're talking gardening with energy today, Andy. So this is your title. There's so many directions that this can go energetically. Where did you have in mind for the conversation to go, my friend?
So I'm going to start with where I'm at now. In other words, I'm going to start with my with my journey, but pretty much on this other end of my journey. So I've been doing this. I'm 75. I think I started with like 19, 18, 17, something like that, dealing with energy. And so This is where I'm at now. And so what I've learned about gardening with energy. And so you like the song we started with, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that song is infused. By infused means I play within that song several different frequencies on purpose. Okay. So and I've learned that one frequency by itself is really cool. Two of them are really cool. But when you have a whole bunch of them, I call it, well, it's an orchestra, right? It's music, right? You have all these frequencies, harmonics, all doing them together. So it creates a certain overall frequency of the energy, right?
Yeah.
Of course, energy, frequency, vibration, not only in our gardens, but the whole world, the whole universe is energy, frequency, vibration. You know, the cosmos, the solar systems, the galaxy, everything's all energy and frequencies. And so from our little point of view, you know, that's to say as above, so below, we mirror all the cosmic energies in ourselves, in our body, in our surroundings, in our gardens. So I started the music you heard is actually called inner gardening music.
Okay.
That's what I call it, inner gardening. And so there has a dual meaning in the sense that inner, of course, you think of it as for meditation and gardening within yourself and expanding, you know, which is part of it. But it really has to do with gardening in the soil. It's really music for the biology, not just the soil, but the birds, the trees, the insects, everything, because you all they don't see if you're a human or if you're a bird or a cat. They all see the frequencies and the energy that you emit, right? The songs that you sing.
Mm-hmm.
And so this particular song that you picked out is all of them are really cool, and I can't just pick one or another. One of the things I started doing was I automatically I know about, you know, I have a one of these days, let's do something on tuning forks. I have not hundreds, but quite a lot of tuning forks I don't know if I was to do the tuning forks thing, we can actually hear it. Do you think we could on the mic?
I believe that we could quite easily. Yeah.
Cool. So one of the things, so I've learned from experience, and by experience means like early on when I started doing my business, I actually was playing music. So when I would go to a customer's place, I would have this music in my truck, right? And sometimes I had these speakers I would take out, put on the lawn, and I would actually believe that exactly. I understood that the frequency went through the earth, and you can actually feel it vibrating through the earth, and that everything in there, the biology, the trees, the birds, insects, anything will go, ooh, yeah, right? Oh yeah, you know. And I didn't try to explain it to anybody why, except that I know that it felt to me that I just read recently a report about the music that's being silent. I forget the name of it, but essentially these people went around the world, and they took videos and audio of the sounds of all the insects, of all the birds, and and they rated it to how loud it was, and then they came back again the following couple of years, and they did it again. They did it a few times. They kept saying that there's less and less of what you're hearing. There's less and less of that music of the sound of the animals. Eventually, when they were there, they were hearing nothing. The birds were singing, the insects were. There was nothing to hear at all. And so what we are doing is we are disharmonizing. Is that a word? Where we have harmony when you cause this harmony. It's what, chaos?
You could call it chaos, but yeah, if you're out of the right frequency and not harmonizing, then you're out of tune.
Out
And
of, it's also there's also a word that sounds negative, because if you are vibrating at a certain frequency, you're going to make that happen to everybody around. If it happens to be not such a good frequency that you're vibrating, like whether it be anger, hate, or all kinds of other deaths, dying things, that's not good. That could affect, and that's what's really going on in this planet right now in terms of energy. If you so one of the things I understand is that since it's all about energy, we have to look at the ocean that we swim in, because the Earth, the universe, the solar system. By universe, I mean our universe swims in this particular energy, and the scientists don't know what to call it, so they call it black energy and black matter. We don't know what it is, but we know it makes up 97% of everything. We don't have no idea.
Dark matter, you're talking.
Right, dark matter. We have no idea what's there, right? But it's there. Something's there. So that's something that they're going to have to learn. I mean, I can explain it to you exactly from my point of view what I see, but I'm just a little drop in this massive ocean. But so in terms of dealing with energy, because to me, gardening really refers to not just what you think is in the soil and the biology, but take a step back, human race on the earth, take a step back, how the earth is in the solar system, take a step back, right? So these are cosmic gardening, right? Cosmic gardens. And so I look at it in a there's a simple view. Well, this is the garden, flowers, and this is how we do it. Maybe gardening with energy in a garden. I think people will come here to learn how to do gardening with energy. I mean, gardening, growing some tomatoes and vegetables. I think that's what they wanted to do, which is understandable. It was really cool. But you also have to understand there's so many other different types of gardening that we could do with energy that is totally ridiculous. And that's the real purpose of why we do all this gardening. I mean, sure, we want to eat vegetables, but what is it that we're eating? We're eating that energy, and this energy is what we really want. And so I would never pass down having a really cool energy feast, eating a lot of energy, because that's what you do really when you're gardening with energy. You set up your garden as a field. You learn about holograms, you learn about energy, you learn that the universe is supercharging you every second. All this massive energy is flowing through that one little space where you live, where you sit. You think there's only one little cosmic ray shooting through. No, it's like, holy cow! It's like
Well, actually, Lily and I were just talking about that and the particles that hit us constantly, and it's oh geez, and we were just talking about it, but it's in the billions per second of the particles passing through us, and that's all energy, that's all frequency and vibration.
That's right.
And
that's right.
We can tap that into that and garden with it.
That's totally right. And it's so interesting too, because there's no place on this planet, no place in the solar system you can't really get away from it. Okay,
that's right.
Even in the voids of space, you could be there's nothing around for trillions and trillions. You're still getting. And I read an interesting article just the other day that basically said that there is I think he called it a cosmic fart, because he said basically that black holes would fart, and and they would reverberate. They would expand throughout not just the solar system, not just this galaxy, but the whole time and space, all the dimensions and everything, which is expand like poof, throughout all the right. You understand what I just said, right? Let me say it again. The black hole farted, and the black hole sent this energy that went not just in one plane, going out as far as it can go and to keep going, but into time and space and dimensions all at the same time. All over, right? Which
Big is pulse energy. Yeah,
which is a very interesting concept to have happen. And so, so going back to Earth, we'll find that ideally, because I tell people before that water follows energy. And so that's it. It's not. What does that say?
400 billion neutrinos from the sun alone pass through each person on Earth each second,
and
according to physicist Frank Close.
and each atom, each neutrino has data in it, and that data can be very, very interesting depending upon where it comes. There's cosmic energy, cosmic beams, cosmic atoms that come from other dimensions, other time and space, passing through here now too, as well. So, you know what I'm saying, right? It's not like this is not a local occurrence. Shit is happening all over the place, and information is there. What's cool is that we have the ability to look at that, to read that information, and that's what's so cool about. I think we have a little bit of advantage over insects and birds and trees and stuff because we can actually say, "Wow, man, that's so cool," right? You know what I'm saying? And understand what we're doing because all the creatures are going. We're happy, man. We're cool. Everything that's always going on. This is our life. We don't care about, whether or not, right? We are here, but we have the ability to do that, and that connection is what's so really cool about it because you can literally travel to the Moody Blues. It would say travel at the speed of thought.
Yeah, much faster than light.
That is faster than light. That at the speed of the light, you can go from one dimension to another. Bingo, no problem. You can go from you can go into a black hole and pop up in another black hole. No problem. So and then also the data that goes with it. The data goes in. So when they say what happens when somebody goes into a black hole, where does it go? Well, there are lots of places that it could go because it's time and space. But going back to gardening with energy, if you want to talk about plants and vegetables, I'm just saying that is a person who's really good at gardening with energy also happens to be really good at gardening with energy, right? Gardening with energy, like you grow energy in your body all around you and everything. That's a true gardening of energy, circulating the gardening of your own energy. That's what meditation is all about. All these other modalities that people do, whether it be Kundalini or whether it be, they all basically are teaching you how to garden to grow your energy, right?
Yeah,
that's what it's really about.
I think what I'm going to interject something here, Andy, to make it a little bit more easy to digest. For some people, if you've ever walked into a room, right, or had someone walk into a room that was really upbeat and positive, and they lit up the room, that's what we're talking about. Or in the same instance of somebody that's really depressed and angry, you walk into the room, you feel that energy, and that's the connection. That energy exists out there. It's everywhere in every dimension, and tapping into that energy, keeping your energy at a very high vibration is what you want to bring into your garden as well as into your very life.
And usually the way it works is that the garden brings that energy to you.
Yes.
That's usually the way it works. You go there and next thing you know you walk away going sippity doo da sippity day because the garden is what does it.
Well, sit and meditate in a Zen garden. That's why it was built that way, to be beautiful and alive, and so you can tap in and flow with that energy.
So in terms of energy, you'll find that I kind of think it's very interesting too. I equate it to fishes in water. They have no idea they're swimming in the water. It's that energy that they live in at the water. They don't say, "Oh yeah, we're swimming in this thing called water." They don't see that. So for us, it's very interesting because we are surrounded in our energy water, and we talk a lot. I talk a lot about water and then water energy. Water follows energy, and so it's very, very interesting that the two are so related because water, since we're mostly water. We follow the energy, and the energy comes. So by follow energy, we feel better. Planning against tapping into new energy, and that's true for many reasons. Because when you're actually sticking your hand in the ground, you're grounding yourself again, and you're opening yourself to the energies. The connection that the earth gives you, the plants give you, or that I call it it's a form of consciousness, like a group consciousness. So
Yeah.
when you merge with trees and other beings that are not really the same species as you, but it's the consciousness that connects. Well, it's the energy that connects to that consciousness, the energy that makes that work. And it's the same. So it's the same thing with. So one of the things we want to understand about, if you really want to use energy in your physical world in terms of growing. Well, see, when you go out, you want to grow tomatoes and vegetables, you really have to establish like an energy perimeter. You really have to establish an area, a designated area that you put up a field of energy, because since we're surrounded with what is it, the Wi-Fi 5 and 6 and
Yeah,
those.
5G and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And then you have the microwaves, and then you have the endless amount of radio waves and other. So you really are literally right. So if you want to really deal with energy, you have to learn how to put up an energetic field that will make everything go around, so that your little area you're there, you can then establish a little bit of peace in your garden in terms of
Yeah.
generating the right kind of energy. Normally, that energy was done by itself, right? Normally, you don't have all this other stuff in nature. You don't have the Wi-Fi, the G's, and all the other things, right? Microwave. You normally don't have that, right?
No.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So, but right now, I was even thinking about those satellites in space. Where we have 1,500 satellites now that Musk put up, right? They do the satellite signals. So even I was thinking, even a guy in Africa sitting in the middle of the woods will have his cell phone working.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So, so anyway, so my experience with energetic gardening was really started with I learned about the black box. So
Okay.
the black box is a form of radionics, and
Yeah.
radionics was started by a bunch of German people, German scientists, and they realized that the energy is a very interesting subject to work with, because they understood somehow that energy can be transmitted from one place to the other without any wires, without any of that stuff, right? And so at that time they were using that. So they also said, well, why can't we transmit other forms of energy? And so the radionics, what it does is that it transmits. So the principle is that everything's a frequency. You know that frequency, you can dial into that frequency, right? So
Yeah.
what radionics does is that you find that you first have to know what the frequency is you're looking for. And the easiest way to find out what a frequency is, and the way they did it with the radionics devices, they would, okay, so for healing, so
Yeah.
so if you have a picture of a person who's healthy, and then you take a picture of that person who's sick, right? So you put the picture of the person who's healthy in the radionics device.
Right.
And you it's sort of like dowsing, or what is the thing when you move the little ball, or the reading? What is it when you have a little thing that moves around? That's Ouija board.
Oh, a Ouija board.
A
Yeah,
Ouija
those.
board, right? So
Yeah,
it's
I stay
sort of
away
like
from that stuff.
automatic. You kind of have to let it do its thing, you know. So
Yeah.
and so I forget what we were talking about. That Ouija board thing threw me off the wall, man.
Well,
I'm like, what the heck are we talking
we're
about?
talking about energy and being able to direct that energy, gather that energy into
Right.
yourself, and the mechanisms to, do that. And that's, I think, where the Ouija board came in, is just
So the
a
first thing
tool.
to do is to establish a field of protection, an
Yeah.
energetic field. Because if you
Yeah.
really want to work with energy, you have to shut out the other energy. Yeah, you have to say, there's no way you can do anything if you're constantly. You might as well just give that up and roll over and you're dead, because you have. That's what, especially like the smart meters now. It's really, really super bad. And I
Yeah.
can tell you, the Wi-Fi, the 4G was originally invented for military purposes. So was the 5G. You don't hear too much about 6G because the military is using it right now. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think what people need to understand, Andy, is it's the focus concentration that you have to worry about. The frequencies have always been there, always been in use in nature. It's just like the electrical line. If you have a high voltage wire running past your house, you get that constant vibration, that constant frequency that can harm you. So it's the concentration. It's like, talking on one of these up to here, the waveforms are running through your brain constantly. So I don't generally, I'll put it on speaker and set it down so I'm not having that energy flow through. But we want to create that bubble, and I do it all the time, is that white light of protection around myself. And you're wanting to put that around your home, your garden,
So
and it's fantastic.
I'll tell you something. So it's great to meet somebody else who learns how to use the wildlife protection. I started with wildlife, and I'm using the violet flame now, which is really cool. Violet flame, very
Cool.
very 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 cool. But what I have developed over the years is that there are physical things you can do
Mm-hmm.
to protect against all these electromagnetic waves and all these fields. The physical things you can do, because it is a wave, is a physical reality that you can be uh, worked against,
Yeah.
controlled to some extent. So it's important. What's important to understand too is that in nature. So we had talked. I don't know if we talked about those towers of power. Did we talk about in Ireland the big things, two towers that were stuffed and they worked as a orgone accumulator? Did we talk about that? Or was that some other?
We've kind of brushed up against orgonite and dynamic accumulators and stuff, but never really in depth yet, Andy.
So one of the things that this scientist Pat uh, now I forget his name. Vatigan.
The rift machine.
No. He basically found out that it hampered or eliminated all kinds of electromagnetic waves, radio waves, microwaves.
Tesla, are you thinking?
No. I'll talk about my friend who wrote the book "Tuning into Nature." And he traveled in Europe,
Okay.
and he found these tower. He calls them towers of power,
Mm-hmm.
and they were basically built in such a way that they became accumulators. Like I said, somebody actually knew what they were doing, because when he flew over with a helicopter, it would be like a desert, and all of a sudden this green spot. They go, and you go fly over there. There's grass, everything's growing, the cattle's there, and there's a big giant tower in the middle. And that's the only difference. And so they so it also, so basically physically you can't. And so the radionite advice basically touches upon that you can't manipulate fields of energy around you. In other words, that's what these new planes are doing now in terms of being invisible.
Mm-hmm.
They're learning that you can manipulate the rays that go around you. You don't see it, but it's the same thing with any of the electromagnetic fields, including the visual field. And
Mm-hmm.
but you can't. So in nature, there are already those things that are found that do that. They do exactly that. They naturally uh, distort magnetic waves around.
Right.
Right. Okay. So and one of the things that the Stonehenge is interesting, that the stone does exactly that. Also, so it's not a coincidence that these people would build something that's very good for distorting electromagnetic waves, which is one of the things that the Earth puts out naturally, right? The Earth and the
Yeah.
Sun, the solar system puts out these things that shoots out, but the Earth has its own electromagnetic fields in the North Pole, and it does all these things. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them, and the sun comes and does this thing. We recently went to this little aurora borealis thing, right? That we had going there, and those are all electromagnetic fields.
Yes,
They
they are.
became visible. They're not visible because how they interact with the electrons in the air and stuff, right? But
Yep.
we're getting that all the time. It's like you stand there, you go, "Hmm," and those, and so, but so you can't, you don't want to block those. What you want to do is catch it. You want to do what you want to do is accumulate.
Yeah.
You want to accumulate, not just for the garden, because if you can, because that's one reason why uh, trees are so important, because they're much more accumulators of this particular type of energy going through the earth. And then not only do they get it through their leaves and the wood and everything, but they also put it back out to the roots.
Yeah.
And then the biology does a job on it. You see, and the biology too is there right there because it goes straight through the earth, right? It bombards every biology on the planet, right? Because they're all getting their right.
They're all getting fully charged, baby.
Right. So they all are they all have specific vibrations that they absorb because that's what they want. So it's all basically eating energy that comes to us. We just have to learn how to catch it rather than let it go through us.
Yeah.
So that's why, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, that's why you eat in the first place, right? Remember I said that a long time ago. That's why we eat. We don't eat because we think we're hungry. We need food to make our bodies grow. We eat to get the energy that the universe is giving to us. That's a real food, in my opinion, right? Because if you can do that, then the body comes along naturally. Remember, water follows energy. Your body, right? And so our body's water. So if our energy is in the right place, the water will flow and we'll have healthy bodies. I just said it in very minimal number of words, the whole idea of living a long, healthy lifetime. To do that, so you, in order to wait, did I didn't even look at the comments. Oh my God, people are talking. Wow.
A little bit here and there, yeah.
Look at that. There's a lot of stuff out there. Kind of cool. I learned one of the interesting things that I learned early on in my career doing all these things because when I would do gem elixirs, for example, I learned at certain times of energy on the plant. That's why I like the Old Farmer's Almanac. It was such a cool thing that when you read about it, you'll say, well, this is what's going on with these planets, and this is how it's affecting your garden, right? And you're gonna go, okay, you're right, right? And so I learned to, and then you don't even need the book because you just look outside, right? You just go, well, let's see, right? And you grow accordingly. That's what I do in my garden. It feels like this is the right time to plant that in terms of below ground and in terms of plants above ground. You try it sometimes. You see which way it works better, planting root crops when there's full moon or full root crops when there's a new moon, and see what happens. You know what I mean? It takes experience. You do it over and over again. Go, well, there must be something to that.
And it works every single time the same way, A lot of old folklore is actually, just trying to awaken us to, what everybody used to know, and we're just relearning it today.
And it's not even really old because what is old is to me old is like 1,000,000 years or even 500,000 years. So 10,000 years is not really old. It's like basically very young. And I know we've been around for quite a longer time than 10,000 years. I'm pretty sure of it. I'm not exactly sure of the time. It depends on what you kind of believe in, because I kind of go way back further than I really should, only because I kind of think I believe that in Atlantis, I believe in Lemura, and those are much further back than 10,000 years.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, right? So this is kind of neat. I don't know. I'm trying to read what the rest of it about tomato plants. They have their own little thing going on over there. Do they know we're talking about anything? Because I don't know what they're talking about over there. Maybe we should just. Is there a way we can just let other people see the comments that are going on? These guys are having a good
anybody
time.
that's live right now can watch the live chat and see what's being put in. So
look, it says that. Thanks, Andy. The answer is starting to respect my microbe authority. That is so cool. That now the garlic barrier is a product you can buy that says it's 100 bulbs of garlic in there. They also for garlic, and the garlic is really cool. A lot easier making it yourself, and it doesn't really harm anything. And the worm juice, the worm biology. If you spray, I spray regularly now here on the ants, and they don't like it. They do not like. They don't like it for several reasons. The biology, I think it just destroys their shells, or they have a way to keep water from getting into their bodies or something like that, because they die. They like I spray them, they go I go, oh, sorry. But the point is a lot better than spraying any other kind of chemicals. Ideally, what you're doing you're trying to introduce more and more biology into the soil. I just wrote to somebody just today who has a problems with their cabbage, and the cabbage has a really dark yucky stuff on it. It turns out to be aphids. And she went and bought some malathion and sprayed the cabbage with the malathion with the cabbage with the malathion.
Yeah.
And I said, you have to throw that away immediately, very carefully. Maybe even call the city, tell them where you dump it. You do not want to use that ever again. And I told her that basically she didn't have a pet because there were aphids. She didn't have an aphid problem. She had an ant problem, and that she didn't really have an ant problem. She had a soil problem.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I told her one of the first things she needs to do is that she can actually make some hot coffee and spray the cabbage with the hot coffee. It'll get rid of the ants.
Yeah.
And it will be just as effective and a lot safer than malathion would at any time.
Mm-hmm.
And most people
don't. You said hot coffee? Should you let the coffee off?
Boiling hot coffee.
Boiling hot coffee and spray and foliar spray it on the plant.
Yeah, you would think. I could see your little brain go, "Oh my God, boiling hot coffee is going to hurt the plants." I saw you. You go, you do no. And so the next thing I say after that, all you have to do is make some boiling hot coffee. Put your hand out, spray, mist the back of your hand, and tell me if it's hot. It's going to be barely warm.
Okay, so baby formula temperature, body temperature.
No, boiling water. If you take it,
brother, I'll tell you right now, if I pour boiling water on top of a plant,
I didn't say pour. I didn't say pour. I said spray. If you missed it, it cools off fast enough that it does not burn. It's warm. It's warm. I've done it over and over again because as soon as you spray, it cools off almost immediately. But you still feel a little warm, but it's warm enough. It's warm enough to raise the heat of the plant without damaging of the insect, right? Without damaging the plant.
Sorry for laughing, Andy, but ain't nobody getting my coffee. That's a true coffee person, right?
I make 2 batches of coffee, one for me and one to spray around. And I've learned that the easiest way is to buy cold brew coffee, where you buy 1 cup of coffee. One little bottle, 8-ounce bottle of coffee is like 40 cups of coffee, and you dump that in a gallon sprayer, so you spray the concentrated coffee. And that works with all the insects that you can spray on, whether it be ants or whether you want to keep deer away. And what's interesting too is that coffee. Remember, everything has a certain frequency. So this coffee has a certain frequency. One of the things that makes it work really good is that coffee. When you smell the coffee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that has a certain frequency. It goes out, carries on a wave. So the bugs smell that. One of the things I use is vanilla, French vanilla. Now, vanilla, you smell the vanilla, right?
Right, yeah.
So that vanilla is another frequency. So that particular frequency is most of the 99% of the insects do not like it. Adversely affects them. Whether it kills them, but they definitely do not like it.
Yeah.
That's vanilla. So that's gardening with energy. So one of the things you learn is that essential oils are all basic concentrated energies of that particular product, right? Very strong energy that you can smell. If you can smell it, it's on a frequency, the way that you can smell. It's traveling to you, right, at a certain speed.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with trees. The same thing with plants and insects, antennas. All these things, they are tuned into certain frequencies that they understand what that is. Genetically, this frequency means this is food for this. This frequency means that's the plant I go eat, right? But also at the same time, they understand other frequencies between other plants and other insects and other birds. There's all the types of frequencies happening all the time that people they understand that they work with. But so we as humans, we don't understand that, and so we work outside of that, so we tend to mess up the frequency. So one of the best ways, that's why you want to establish a peace zone, and what you're trying to do is let the natural frequencies be there. That would be like when you do a natural garden. You try to plant the native. One of the reasons why you plant native plants is because they have the frequency for this area, for here. they will grow, they will produce energy, which is they've learned is very good for here. So you let that grow, and then that's how you get more and more energy growing in one spot. If you want to uh, learn how to use the energy there, because a lot of times, like in the place where I live at now, right here, this is a very good energetic area. It's a really
Hmm.
cool little spot here because it has a certain energy that you can feel it, and that's why this place was built here in the first place, and that's why the house is here, and that's why the area is facing this little forest, and it's like a very magical energy field around all the city. This Malibu has Malibu is very interesting. There are other cities. Thank you, silly. There are a bunch of silly. I was gonna say a bunch of sillies. I meant a whole bunch of cities. Now, silly's got me going silly instead of city. But I've lived in two places that are very, well, three, very interesting in terms of energetic. So I lived in a place. I lived in a place in Florida,
Hmm.
and it turned out to be a wooden. So think of it as a wooden Stonehenge. But
Okay.
in Miami, there's a place that it looks like there were these, because they say it was made of wood because the ocean has deteriorated. But you see the foundation where this round, where the shears, Roy, where the round structure of this giant Stonehenge was built. Because they say it
Yeah.
looks just like and it's not too far away from the Rock Castle. The Rock Castle is another place that it was built on this electromagnetic field that the rocks float. People go to
Right.
see what the heck the rocks are floating, and
Hmm.
so and then the other place was in Sedona,
Yeah.
Arizona. It's a very interesting electromagnetic fields going on there. All these types of vortexes and
Hmm.
are going on right there, and they have some like 30 or 40 really super strong ones. And interesting enough, a lot of people built uh, churches right there in that spot. And there's one place called the
Yeah.
Crystal, the Opal. No, I always had it. I always had it. What's a red stone? Ruby. The ruby crystal. Is it called
Okay.
ruby crystal? Ruby. I forgot the name of it. But it was a ruby church. It had a big giant raw ruby, and all it did was amplify the frequency, the energy that it was giving off.
Yeah.
And then the other place is right here where I live in Malibu. And Malibu is another place that's living in a very interesting spot because it has at least 10 big giant vortexes. And one particular one, which is not really in Malibu, is in a place called Topanga, which is right next door to it. And that particular one has most vortex go clockwise. This one's going counterclockwise. And there's only two of them in the world. The other one is in Japan, and another place called it's like some kind of triangle. It's not the it's equivalent to the Bermuda Triangle, but on the opposite side of the Earth. And
Okay.
right, and so but the energy here are that's why the Chumash Indians and the Indians consider this sacred places because the energy is very interesting how it works because of the fog and all the stuff. It causes these mystic things. There's a blue place called Charmley, Charmlee. Charmley
Okay.
was inhabited by Chumash Indians for 20,000 years or more, and for them that little mountaintop, when the fog comes in, they're actually above the clouds. Here's the
Hmm.
fog, and the clouds are right above it. So you literally you're standing on a cloud. You're sitting there going,
Cool.
okay, okay, because you don't see too much of where you're standing on because the clouds all, and then they start overflowing. See, you're right there when it's overflowing. So you say, shit, I'm right in a cloud, and uh, they have for thousands of years they made their teepees there. They did, and that's a really cool place to do the fire ritual. When somebody dies, you burn them, you cremate them, and that because of the currents and the way it's made, you can literally see the smoke. You can literally see everything because the fog makes the vortex visible. And there's so I go up there, and one of the things that was interesting too is that there's four big vortexes there, and one of the people who went and bought the place in 18 something, they went there. This tall guy and this tall woman bought that land, and they had money, so they built a It wasn't a dam, it wasn't a pool or a reservoir. So think of a ball, half of it cut, half the bottom half. It looked like somebody had cut a giant ball in half, right, and they set it in the ground. And
Okay.
the actual area where they set it in the ground was the largest vortex. So, excuse me. So I'm saying to myself, whoever did this knew what he was doing, because according to the stories, they feel, because I talked to one of the sons of the sons, of the family, because he called me. I've been going there since '84, so I've been running into some interesting people. But
Okay.
guy told me the history of it, and so this guy had a filled with water, so it was like a pool, and things were
Right.
going all the way around it. But what happened was that because the vortex would go like this, right, and then the fog would come in, and the fog would interact with the vortex. You have this particle going up. You go, you can actually see the energy of the vortex. You can see it, so it's very,
Yeah.
very magical. And so if you have
Oh,
any kind of flames or any kind of smoke, that too would dance. So the whole thing was really very, very cool. And what they connect with the other ones. All the vortex have a connection, which is really very cool too. But
yeah.
more interesting enough is that the area surrounding these vortex, all these areas surrounding these vortex, the energetic field of all the creatures and everything that lived there, it's like as if you lived in a really cool place. You didn't know anything about anything else. You lived in this one spot, and you develop a very high energy. So the only people that live there, only the creatures that live there, right? Only the creatures that live there are very magical beings that have been living there for a long time.
Yeah. A
And
lot longer than we've ever thought possible. We have a question for you,
I didn't
Andy.
do it. I didn't do it.
Okay. Someone was telling me pH did not matter in soil because the microbes feed the plants. What do you think? I know these. I know soilless. You need to watch the pH. You can't grow azaleas in alkaline soil, and pH matters of plants would be locked out, or nutrients would be locked out if you've got too high of a pH. So what's your response to that? I know what mine is. What's your response?
I would love to talk to this guy. I would love to talk to him because in the soil it does matter because the pH determines what the microbes only live, the microbes that we really want, the core of the good biology in the soil lives within a certain pH range. Outside
Mhm.
that range, you're going to get a wide variation of it, but you're not going to get exactly what you want, even though the plants can survive, cactuses and like azaleas and pipe. So there are acid-loving plants that love it slightly pH. So there's a certain pH range that you have to fall in. Because outside those range, you're not going to be dealing with the microbes that we really want for plants. But otherwise, there will be plants growing in all these ranges. The plants don't grow there because the microbes are not there. And what has evolved is something completely different that does not require the microbes. Even cactuses have their own microbial soil life that's going on for them, see, specifically for that. Or even in the desert, right? You have an oasis specifically for there that these guys have evolved.
Yeah.
Anything
And
else? The pH does make a difference. And hydroponics, I don't know enough about hydroponics, but I would think that pH makes a difference there as well.
pH, definitely, you have to have your pH right in a soilless environment. In a soiled environment, you can have a different pH uh, for each different root hair, depending on what is needed for the component, whether it's calcium. The microbiology for that might need a pH of 8, and the microbiology for magnesium might need a pH of 5, and that can be controlled right at the root hair. Now, as an overall
How would you
aspect
control it
of
at the root
soil,
hair? How would you control it at the root hair? You would
the
isolate.
biology does it by itself, Andy. That's one of the beauties of the biology.
Oh, I see.
As a whole in your garden, yes, you want a much more level
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I
pH,
got it.
but
That's
then
great.
let the biology of that plant, like blueberries, want a higher pH
Yeah,
or a
right.
more acidic, so you can let the biology focus on that. That's why biology for that particular plant is sprayed out of its seed. When the seed pops, the biology is specific for that plant is sprayed out from the seed, and that's the biology that starts to build, right there starts to build the plant, and the biology is supposed to proliferate. Yeah, I'm not pronouncing that right. In that specific area for that plant, and it's going to change the pH right where it needs to be changed, specifically for different aspects and different jobs that it's doing.
So I was studying for my certified arborist test. I took it and I failed, by the way. I didn't pass it. I had 51. You need a 76. And all the sections I had over 51%. In one section, diagnosis and treatment, I had 96%. But there's one section called tree risk, which basically has to do with climbing and cutting and rope knots. I had a 40, so I was really low on that. That's the area. But they one of the things I learned is that the lower the pH, the greater the iron is available.
Okay, well, there you go.
So what you said makes sense, because you can't really regulate the overall. All you can do is regulate a general pH for the garden, but each individual plant should have the ability to regulate their own little bit of pH, because then the nutrient that they need, like in this case if needs a slightly acid pH than the rest of the garden. Otherwise, you'll always be deficient in iron, because there's no way you can have if 5 and 5 is what you need for iron, and if it's 7 or above, you're never going to get the iron.
Exactly. So the biology right at the root in the rhizosphere has to, and on the rhizal sheath of the root, is going to be able to change the pH depending on what is necessary for the biology to be bringing into the plant to create the healthy plant.
It's really amazing how it works, because it's really on automatic. You don't have to teach it or anything. What we have to do is establish an environment that this biology will function. See, so right now the environment is changing so fast that the biology it's dying off, because the biology is not meant for this kind of environment where it's toxins, and there's toxins and more toxins, and in a system that has taken eons, thousands and thousands of years to get together. It's not going to change fast enough to then say, okay, now you can live in the toxins, everything's fine. No, it's not. They're going to die. So so going back to energy, we find that all we really have to do is to first form a physical shield. And one of the things I want to tell you that you can do, and maybe we'll have a separate show on that, but you can make your own energy device really very simple. One of the things you can tap into is called lodestone, LODE, lodestone, STONE, a lodestone. You know what a lodestone is?
It's basically a base magnet, and you can use the lodestone to make other magnets.
The magnetic field is identical to not only the Earth's magnetic field, but our magnetic field, the way that it's laid out. And you'll find that it's just carrying it not only enhances your magnetic field, but also sets up its own field.
Yeah.
Show some love and hit the like button. Happy growing, everybody. Kana Flex, hello.
And Super Nessa, I hate to say it, but the budget didn't work out for me to come to Toronto this year for Grow Up. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to be there. So we'll have to smoke the peace pipe another time, my friend.
I like the piece of pipe. I like it.
And we did have another question for you, Andy.
Okay, sure, I don't read real. Okay.
Okay, I have an energy question. Is it bad to store seeds in a cupboard that has the power board and electrical switches with the electrical power field, or will the electrical power field affect the seeds and reduce the germination rates?
I'm going to give you guys 5 seconds to think about that. You're kidding me, right? Just think about that. That'll be like, okay, why don't you lie naked to that in there for a while, and then you tell me what what's going to happen to you. Or you put your cell, take a piece of your cell and put it anywhere near there for a little while and see what's going to happen. Heck yeah, because the whole thing, the whole thing of electricity is that it's not natural. It's not occurring in this type of electricity is not occurring in nature. So it's very disruptive to your electromagnetic field. And then you have the way you transmit the electricity throughout the house. Again, it generates another field, not very conducive to your living electromagnetic field or any other living thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And so we have energy in our body that's being just totally disrupted.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I would say no. Yes, no good.
Now, I know, and this is something that I believe in as well, is taking your seed and in putting it in your mouth to give your own energy and your own biology over into the seed. Do you do that at all, Andy?
No, but I think my finger out and push it around a lot. No,
What?
Ken,
I thought that was your thumb. Yeah,
I haven't heard that particular one, Ken. And I've been gardening for a long, long time. So I bow down to your knowledge about that. I would say, well, I don't see why it would not work. I just never occurred to me. Oh, I gotta put my carrot seed in. Oh my God! No, I never. May have as a kid started eating seeds, but no, I don't. Never ever thought of that. But now that I'm thinking about it, well, it's biology. There's no reason why it couldn't work.
And it's energy. If your body needs something that plant can draw up, and it knows your body needs it because it's interacted with yourself and your biology, maybe the plant's going to draw that extra up
you
give it to you.
You just won the crazy award, the craziest dude award.
Thank you. I'll take that as a definite compliment. Thank you.
It's so great for me to come in second place in the craziest dude award. Oh God! Finally, I think it's really cool. I've never heard of that, but you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely right. That's one reason why you eat. When you take something from the ground and earth, you're eating that because you want that energy back into your body again. You know what I mean? So you're getting to your saliva and taking it down your body, So this is the opposite. You're giving your data, your information to the seeds, and the seeds going, all right, this down, George. Okay, we got it here. All right. And I don't see why not. It wouldn't be more in tune to what you need.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. I think that is really cool. Any more questions, guys? We got 8 more minutes.
Hadn't caught any, but then I've only been half-assed watching. So
one of the things that's interesting about gardening with energy is you have to learn how to use Mother Nature's natural sources of energy, which a lot of times will be different types of crystals, different types of stones. I'm always not too far away from some type of energy crystal, even though right now I don't see one anywhere near me. So that's no wonder I'm so weak, because I usually can reach out and come back with something. But
your brain is melted, Andy? Are you telling me that it's finally melted? It's invisible.
But what's cool is that so a lot of times in my garden, like I have it in my backyard, I know exactly what the little ley lines are at, where the best energy crosses, and where the best place to put something down to enhance. That's where I put the Buddha, and I put a crystal there and a couple other crystal forms, which I have found that they enhance the environment, they protect people. The reason for that is they amplify the natural magnetic fields that are there. And they amplify over the unnatural one. I live right next to the fire department. At least I'm not living in a place which has 20 different Wi-Fis. They only have 5 now. And I'm learning to block it out, because you pretty much have to do that. And ideally, I mean, even when electricity was out, it's still charged running through those wires. And so I can't imagine how it would feel to go to the desert or to a forest and have nothing around, not even another human being around. That's on my bucket list. I want to go lie there and I go, oh God, holy cow, right? I remember when I lived in the Florida Keys, and so I would lie down by the shore, and the wave would be warm, and I would be feeling I would feel the earth rotate. Remember, feel the earth move under my feet. Well, and it literally, and the way I would wake up is the ocean, the waves, the tide would come in and
Yeah.
wake me up. Oh, time to get up! And I remember those days. But like right now, all these equipment and stuff, they all generate certain fields.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
but then
work.
you also have to consider every organ in your body has its own frequency,
Yeah,
and
exactly right.
if you're playing with those frequencies, you can heal yourself, you can heal others, and that's what the plants are trying to do. Put that right frequency and nutrition in your body so that you can be healthy.
One of the things we could do, you might want to do that. I have a zapper, and
Right.
I have a frequency generator from Hilda
Cool.
Clark. Zappers from Hilda Clark also. And so basically, this little device, the frequency generator, you can determine what frequency, and put the frequency. You put it into the zapper, which is a little device, and then you hook it up to yourself, and you zap yourself that frequency. It was really cool. I do it on plants.
Well, now, Andy, they're actually putting electrodes on plants and listening to the plants.
They're making music.
Change their song, right? And I know we did this when I was at an event in Vancouver last year, and we could listen to the tone of the song change depending on the individual that approached the plant and their energy coming off and affecting it. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, a teenager developed a device that you could hook up to a plant, and the plant starts playing music.
Mm-hmm.
The plant starts playing whatever it wants to do. You can literally, and that's not mind blowing. That should be understood that the plants are living beings too. I was talking to somebody about, does everything have a consciousness, or are we the only one that have a consciousness? So that's like, you're kidding me, right? It's like, no, we're the only ones that have a consciousness right now.
Yeah. Well, now, like I know Leighton's pointed out, he saw a white paper on, they were able to show and prove that plants actually can see colors. So if they see you walking up with a yellow shirt, they know it's a yellow shirt.
Or they know that it's a color that they can relate to as yellow. They don't call it yellow.
Yes, well.
Oh, look, a yellow shirt.
I'm using my terminology.
Where'd you get that from? This is yellow shirt.
Well, there's so much more intelligence out there that we're not giving credit to, from the plants, the animals, right down to the microbiology that's so tiny we don't even know it exists yet.
Personally, I think we're the stupidest. I think that we're the idiots.
Oh, yes, definitely.
I think that we're the idiots.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that whole IQ test is ridiculous, because you can get a man in Africa, a native warrior there, make an IQ test that you would fail. You're not very smart, man. You're not very smart. Everybody knows that we have to use this thing, and you can't stick your finger in that creature and blah, blah. It's like, no, it's a ridiculous test. So and we're the only ones. I mean, think of any other animal, insect, or anybody has wars. They don't go after you may have battle for food, you may have a battle but you don't have wars for the reasons we go after wars now. Plus we don't have this way of killing everything, from bombs to nuclear weapons to destroying everything else on the planet. So there's a big difference, and I'm hoping that we're eventually going to wake up and smell the coffee. Otherwise, it's just going to be, nobody's going to wake up and it's not. Oh no, the ants will wake up one day and go, "Oh, could you give me some coffee, George?" Time to work on our mouth.
We're getting close to the end. We got another question here. What container or package do you use for seeds in the freezer?
I don't put my seeds in the freezer.
No? Okay.
No. I prefer to put them in a place that's cool, not really cold, not freezing. I find it hard to. If once you take them out of that stage, you had better know how to thaw them and use them properly, because you could damage it that way. So for me, the seeds last longer because I plan on using them. It's not like I want to keep them for thousands of years. If I did, then I would definitely do like they do in Iceland, where they have it, right, the seed bank. Yeah, it's frozen. But even then, it's not really frozen. The actual seeds are inside something else, which is in the big box. So the seeds are not frozen because if they unfrozen, they would damage it. So it's cold, but not frozen to where, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Well, see, and for myself, I do freeze my seeds, and I just make sure that they're in a package where they can't be hit against each other. They're in there and
Yeah.
firm, because if you're bouncing them
Yeah, that's gonna break it.
against each other, you can damage them.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when I'm going to use them, I just pull it out and let it come back up to normal temperature, plant it in soil, and let it spermolate and put out its biology into the soil and start growing.
Yeah, I've never gone that frozen route. I have a big seed bank that I've kept for many years. I keep it
Yeah,
dry in a
yeah,
cool
cool and
place.
dry. Yeah,
You know, and that seems to work for me. So I haven't gone that route yet.
yeah,
Maybe I will, but I don't have the need for it. But it's very possible because you can keep those seeds a lot longer. I understand.
yes, yeah.
Right,
Well,
that
you're
would be
putting
the
them into
benefit.
suspended animation, and that's what, like, up here, you don't have winter down there. Up here, there are some seeds that actually need to be frozen before they can germinate.
Cold storage is what I prefer. Right,
Yeah,
not freezing.
yeah.
I,
So,
I
brother, we're at the hour.
okay. What are we talking about next week? You don't know, do you?
When I looked at the list today to put out the show, I never looked at what was going on next week.
So
I
stay
know
tuned next week.
for on Layton's show, we have Dr. Bob Faust coming on from BioAg. But for what we're talking about next week, we'll just have to wait, and you'll have to find out.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And stay tuned for the journey of my green screen. I'm going.
Yes.
Look! I'm done.
Okay,
All
well,
right.
here's Lily going. Okay, what does chat want to talk about next week? I don't know. Maybe
No,
chat's
I
going to come up with a
understand.
really quick answer. And Heidi Gorski, quick answer, and maybe we'll just go off the script next week, or maybe we'll go from something the chat puts up here in the next 10 seconds.
9, 8, 7,
Do,
6, 5,
do,
4, 3, 2, 1.
what were we singing earlier?
Okay. See you guys next week.
Okay, guys, we're going to end the stream there. Take care, guys.
Bye. See you.